Hello from Scrappy Nerd UK, and as promised, my next video is going to focus on the stories that you can tell during the month of December for your December daily. I know that we're going through a really hard time at the moment with lockdowns all across the world, and I suppose this video is me trying to help out, give you ideas as to what you can document during the season that perhaps you've had other things that you can document in previous years where you've been able to get together with friends and family that you can't do this year. Now, I actually have a list of 69 different topics, different things that you can document for the month of December. And I thought I would just reel off a few of these and talk them through in a little bit more detail. This list that I have compiled together, I've used different sources on the internet, ideas from other people that they've come up with, and sort of captured it all in one to try and bring this video together. And what I'm going to do is leave this list of 69 prompts in the description box of the video down below to help you guys document your December and to give you some ideas as to what stories you can tell, because things are just different this year. So let's get started. Okay, so we've got the obvious ones. So things like what you're watching on TV, the music you're listening to, use those as prompts to create a story for that day. So I know that quite a lot of people say, I don't do December daily because I don't have that many stories to tell, or I don't have children, I don't have this, I don't have a large family. It doesn't matter. Let's look at what you've got around you. What do you do different in December that you don't do in other months of the year? And that will include things like watching different things on TV. Are you a massive Christmas film fan? I love what they call the Hallmark movies. I love those channels, and I could just sit and watch those day after hour after hour for a whole day. And I don't do that any other time of the year. So if my story for that day is, I've watched a bunch of Hallmark movies for today, that's my story. Equally, I want you to bear in mind that your December daily doesn't have to be a December, what have I done today? Your December daily is just a form of documenting your December, your Christmas season. And you can include Christmas memories from the past. You could do a comparison of how last year looked to how this year looked. And you can make those stories. It doesn't have to be something about that you've done that day, because as I said, our Decembers this year, for most of us, are going to look completely different. We're not going to be able to go out and visit friends and family like we were able to in previous years. And so it is looking for those smaller details and making the most of those and documenting and really telling the stories. Take this opportunity to tell those stories this year. Another way that you can shake up your December daily as well, if you are really struggling for stories to tell, or you hear it from your own perspective, in your own voice every single year, then look to include someone else in your album that could write something to go into your album. They could, if they're not comfortable doing that, then you could always write down a conversation that you've had. But having that other person's voice in your album is another way that you can include a different story as well. Where a lot of us are corresponding more online virtually than we ever have done, you could use your day, if you've had a conversation with someone, it might have been a funny conversation or a really sincere text message or an email, then use those opportunities. That's your story for the day. You might have reconnected with someone that you haven't spoken to in a while. Use that as your story for the day. So look at documenting conversations that you've had, whether it's a phone conversation or whether it's a tangible written email or a text message. Don't forget, you don't have to include a photo in your daily spread. If you're doing it daily, it doesn't need photos. Use screenshots. You could use memes in your album as well. So if you've got any days where you want to include something and you really don't have anything specific for that day, then look at things like conversations and memes, because that is another way to include someone else's voice in your album as well, not necessarily memes. How about writing a gratitude list? So This year, more than any other year, I think that we have to be very grateful for everything that, you know, we've got in terms of friends and family and our house and our health. And now more than ever, I think for me, I will be including a gratitude list in my album this year. So that probably won't come with any photos, but that will be my story for the day. Something that I'm grateful for, 5 things, 10 things, 20 things I'm grateful for. That is another story that I can tell in the month of December. You could also write a letter to yourself. So this is another idea that I've seen quite a few people do. I personally wouldn't probably feel comfortable to write a letter to myself. I'm writing a letter to Santa this year. And that's going to be one of my stories. But you could write a letter to yourself or follow suit and do the same as what I'm doing. Write a letter. And no one has to see it. You could pop it in an envelope, put it in your album, but that is your story for the day. You could do an around here story for the day as well. So you could just go and take photos of whatever's happening in your house that day, whatever your house looks like. It could be that your house is an absolute mess. My house does tend to be, especially in December. So go and take photos from around the house and collage them all and put that as your story for the day. This is what my house looks like today. This is what it looks like around here today. And it can be that it's just your bog standard monotonous day, nothing's happened, but the fact that you've documented in that snapshot of time, this is what it looks like, this is what my home looks like, this is what my life looks like. That is a viable story that you can tell. You're going to have the usual stories that you can focus on as well. So some of the ones that come up time and time again are Christmas tree. Document how, because your Christmas tree never looks the same from one year to the next. Document your Christmas tree, document your ornaments or your baubles or your decorations, whatever you call them. And especially if you've bought new ones as well, make that a story. I've bought this new one. Is there a significant meaning to it? Is there a reason you bought this? Did you just like it? Or you gifted it? And make that your story. So yeah, Christmas tree, your wrapping as well. So I always include a page of my wrapping paper, and it's really nice to go back on previous years and look at like the different wrapping paper that I used as well. It may seem a really small, insignificant story, but actually when you look back over all of my albums, all of these stories come together to tell the story of my Christmas, of my December. And so that's how you should feel too, that you're going to have smaller stories in your December daily. And it's okay that we're going to have a lot more smaller stories this year than bigger ones. But collectively, your whole album comes together and that will tell your story of your December. How about your view? So take a photo of what your outside looks like. So if you've got neighbours that have got lights up, then grab a photo from inside the house looking out. This is your view. This is what you look out and see. And I suppose we forget that things outside can change from one year to the next. So it could be that you have one car set out on your drive and you've taken a picture, and then when you come to next year's December daily and you're sort of flicking back through, it's like, oh, that's the old car. Or that's a neighbour that used to live at that house and now they've moved. And, you know, it's just a little memory of what your street, what your neighbours' houses looked like, what your car was. There was a tree there and there's no longer there anymore. They've put this up outside. So a photo of a view from inside your house through the window to what your view looks like outside. And obviously it's going to be a bit more magical if you've got neighbours that have partaken and got lights and trees up and stuff like that. But it's just another story. It's another option for you to be able to use. Now, leading on from that, if you have a town that decorates for Christmas and puts lights up, get yourself out there and go and get some photos. Could be that your neighbours a street around put decorations up. Get yourself out there, go and have a wander around, go and grab some photos, because they may not be your decorations, but looking back on it in years to come, you will have the joy of seeing, you know, how others celebrate this season. And I love going around and looking at other people's lights. Where I used to live, there used to be a row of houses out the back and they used to go absolutely crazy with the lights. And we always used to go and have a walk around and go and have a look what lights they've got up. And I love it. So if you've got someone in your area that has a neighbour that's got Christmas lights up, or even get in the car and go and drive somewhere, get in the car with a flask of hot chocolate and go and drive around and go and look for lights. Christmas, we might have to go and find the Christmas cheer this year, but don't be scared to go and do that. So go out for a walk, go and find some Christmas lights, or jump in the car, have a drive around, put some Christmas music on, and go and have a look for how other people are celebrating. You could look at things that are fairly normal as well. So not every story has to be about Christmas. It could just be the monotony of your daily routine, for instance. It could be that your routine is that you get up and then you go to work. Well, document about your work colleagues. Have you had a festive conversation? Have you all been talking about what you're doing for Christmas? Document how grateful you are for your colleagues. This is your opportunity to grab all of those stories and put them in to your one album. So there are so many different ideas in terms of work that you can do. I know that my work, even though we're not actually in the office, my work are encouraging us to decorate our desks at home for the annual Christmas, or the annual desk decorating for Christmas, and I'm getting all over that. I'm decorating my desk, and that is going to be a story in itself. So I'm not leaving the house. But that story will be told because my work is still encouraging it. So look at things that your work are encouraging. I think we're doing Christmas jumper day as well. So we're all going to be on Teams, you know, in our Christmas jumpers with my little Mrs. Santa Claus. And that's going to be probably my story for the day. But that is a memory that I want to keep. And that's a memory that I will record in my album. It could be that I have another story for that day that I want to tell over and above a Christmas jumper day. And in which case, I will move my Christmas jumper day story to another day. I don't like moving the days, but I have the option there. And with a list of 69 things that I can document for this year, I've got plenty to keep me going anyway. So you can document things that you traditionally do, as I said, with, you know, putting the tree up, your decorations, the wrapping, all those things that you do every year. How about your baking? That's another one as well. Now, if you don't bake, why not try it? Why not make this your first year that you've done a bit of Christmas baking? You may not enjoy it, but that's okay. You can tell that story in your December daily. Make yourself some cookies, make yourself a gingerbread house, or buy a gingerbread house and just decorate it. But go ahead and make those stories for yourself. You're never too old to do Christmas baking on your own, or to do I'd do a gingerbread house on my own. Quite happy with that. So go ahead and find these things that you can include in your storytelling. And the last couple of things I wanted to touch on is to do with things that you can document for along the lines of the gratitude list. So goals for 2021. So that for me is probably a story that I could tell towards the end of December. So not the lead up to Christmas, but a story between Christmas and New Year if you document 31 days like I do. That's probably a story, a really good story that you could include. Something, and that makes you accountable for next year as well, doesn't it? So goals for 2021, or hopes and dreams for 2021 as well. I wouldn't normally include that in my everyday documenting in my project life or my scrapbooking, but it seems to have a natural place in my December daily, certainly between that week between Christmas and New Year. Document about thoughts and feelings as well. So I have on the list the magic. So everyone talks about how magical Christmas is, and this year doesn't have to be any different. If you've not done in your December daily, if you've not spoke about how Christmas makes you feel, then make that one of your stories. Make that your intentions or your reason why page. If you do one of those, talk about the magic this year. Now my that's going to be incorporated in my Dear Santa letter. Mine is definitely going to be the search for the magic this year, because it is very, very different, and I think it's going to take a bit of effort this year to, you know, keep those festive feelings going. And that is definitely something that I want to touch on, the fact that it is a magical time of the year, but we are having to seek that magic out. But that is another story that you could also tell. Also, the last one that I really wanted to touch on without going into any more detail is to create new traditions. So here's an example. I have never purchased mistletoe. I've never had mistletoe in the house, and it's such a Christmassy thing to have. And it's such a Christmassy thing to kiss under the mistletoe. I've never bought mistletoe. I've never kissed under the mistletoe. And I want to create a new tradition this year. I want to get some mistletoe and I want to hang it in the house. And that is a story for me, not just we got some mistletoe, but the story for me is that this is a new tradition that I've created. So think about new traditions that you can bring in from this year forward, or it could just be a new tradition that you're going to do just for this year. But think about that in terms of another story that you can incorporate into your album as well. So I think that's pretty much it. I didn't want to make this video too long because, as I said, I'm going to list all of these prompts in the description box down below. So feel free to copy and use these elsewhere. Copy and paste them onto a document, print them out. Now I did a video for this where I made a December planner, and lo and behold, we went back into lockdown, but we won't go there. So I made this December planner, but in it, I had my December daily prompts. So I have this list to hand. So when I'm actually creating my December daily or completing my pages next month, then I will have this to hand and I'll be able to refer back to it. So get the list, pop them onto a document, print them out, keep them somewhere safe with your album, and just refer back to them. So if you're ever feeling that you are lacking a story or lacking something to include for that day, then have a look at that list and find something that will inspire you to add in. So thank you very much for joining me. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video, which we will be looking at telling the same story over and over again each year, and what my thoughts and feelings are on that. And then on Saturday, I have popped a post up. Saturday, I am going to be doing a live on YouTube, right here on YouTube at 8 p.m. at Greenwich Mean Time. So that's going to be earlier in the day for peeps in the US, and then later in the day for peeps in Europe and that side of the world. So yeah, if you want to come over, and it's just going to be a December daily chat. So if you want to come over and have a chat about December daily, I'm going to be live on YouTube at 8 p.m. GMT on Saturday. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. That'd be great. And I'll see you next time. Bye.